Hello, and thank you for joining us and giving up your Saturday afternoon to spend a little time with your favorite drinkables and our special honored guest who comes direct from Inkshares.
Hi, everyone.
She is the illustrious Avalon Raitis. And so she is going to be here to talk a little bit about Inkshares, a little bit about DraftFest, and also hopefully answer some of your questions. She is currently a marketing manager for the company, specifically working with science fiction and fantasy authors. So we are going to yield the floor to her because you guys know who we are at this point. We're old faces. She's someone new and exciting and someone who actually works in the inner sanctum of our blessed Inkshares. So Avalon, I am going to yield the floor to you and talk about anything you would like specifically about Draftshares or Inkshares, sorry. There's so many shares going on now. I'm confused.
Very cool. Thanks so much, everyone. It's great to be here. Thanks so much for coordinating this, you guys, and for everyone who's listening in. Thanks for taking time out of your Saturday to be with us here. This is my first time on Draftshares, so thank you for inviting me. I'll talk a little bit about Inkshares, but I assume that most of you guys who are tuning in already are pretty well versed with who we are and what we do. But for those of you that are just getting acquainted with Inkshares, we like to think of ourselves as a traditional book publishing company, or at least a book publishing company with the traditional resources and expertise as other book publishing companies. But the way that we differentiate ourselves is that we have readers determine what we publish, and we do that through pre-order campaigns, which many of you guys have launched. We think this crowdfunding piece is really pivotal to our model because on one hand it allows us to subsidize the cost of book production, which is really important, and that allows us to be able to publish more books, but it also gives us this broad market interest for all of these titles that we're putting forth, which is really exciting. So that allows us to basically launch each book with a bunch of loyal supporters for that book and market it directly into bookstores. So that's a sort of overview of Inkshares. Feel free to ask me any questions about that. So DraftFest, it sounds like a ton of people have drafts up on Inkshares. I think 2/3 of all the projects on Inkshares are in draft mode, which is really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think 66%, almost exactly. And I think that we really want to get more exposure for these projects, and this is something that the Draftshares team is helping us do, but it's also something that we are going to turn our attention to in the future as well. So drafts are really pivotal to the publishing process for a number of reasons. It's a way for you to put your work out there and be able to get feedback, be able to engage with readers, be able to engage with other authors and see what works for them and what might work for you. But it's also really important to be able to get that sort of groundswell of support before you actually launch your campaign. I think maybe some people that are tuning in now have started a campaign and maybe didn't reach their goals, and that can be really hard and really frustrating. So I think spending more time in the draft phase really allows you to get those staunch supporters and get feedback and get engagement through the community, and then be able to successfully launch your campaign, whether that's through Quill getting 250 pre-orders or the main Inkshares publishing tier, which is 750.
Christine, we have Elon on in 2 weeks, and he is going to specifically be talking about relaunching, correct?
That's correct.
All right. So some of the things that Avalon's discussing
That's
today,
awesome.
yeah, we're going to be talking about in 2 weeks after Shotstravaganza, which is Monday. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But we are going to be talking about the next couple of weeks what happens if you put a draft up and you do decide to sell and the campaign doesn't go as well as you might have the first time, and what can you do better this time. Everyone, with the exception of me, has put a book through a campaign or a contest or some kind of vessel through which they got their book into the system. So their expertise is going to be really good in the next couple of weeks as we talk about what are good things to do, what are bad things to do, and what would they have done over. So having Elon's expertise will be helpful too.
Absolutely.
And I can't remember what it was now. Oh, now I do. Why do you think at the beginning so few people went into the drafts versus now 2/3 of the projects are drafts, where people had a lot of success coming in at the beginning and now people are switching to drafts? Why do you think that's happening?
I actually think that's kind of a misconception, and the onus is on us to sort of clear that up and make it more visible that there are so many drafts. Because from day one, there's been a ton of drafts on Inkshares, but they're harder to search for. They're harder to find coming up through the algorithms and search. So I think what we need to do is really take on the responsibility more so now of being able to give these drafts more visibility in the Inkshares community so that they have the opportunity to be launched into successful crowdfunding campaigns. So I think that right now, if you don't have a lot of supporters, if you don't have a lot of followers, it can be pretty daunting to launch a campaign because you're not sure how successful the campaign might be.
Well, what if I put up a draft and then 3 months into my draft being up, they have a contest that's perfect for that? Can I still enter, or does that qualify me as already having
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's best case scenario, actually. What can be hard is when people are already in the funding stage and then an ideal contest comes about. You either have to restart funding so that you can be eligible for the contest, or you just can't participate in the contest at all. So it's really ideal that
Sorry,
that
that's
a
my
dog somewhere.
I'm gonna mute me. Hold on.
Yeah, it's really ideal to be in draft mode for. It's just good to take your time with drafts. Really take feedback from the community, talk to people that have already gone through crowdfunding, who are either successful or not successful, find out what worked for them, what didn't. We look at our blogs as actually a way to source a lot of this information. So I think Tal Klein, we have an interview with him up that we put up recently, and that has a lot of valuable information. He made his campaign look pretty easy, but there's a ton of forethought that went into that, a ton of planning and strategy. And I think that when you're doing it right, it can look really easy, but it's not easy. It's hard work, but it's going to put you in a position to be really successful once you do fund, and once you go through the production process and have a book. You're going to have hundreds of people that want to read that book, that are going to be willing to share the word. Word of mouth is so important. That are going to be willing to put up Amazon reviews, which is incredibly important, Goodreads reviews, etc.
Definitely.
So, did you guys have fun watching Draftshares this week, or were you guys just incredibly busy?
You mean at Inkshares?
Yeah.
Oh, it was pretty busy. I told you guys earlier, but it was the Trekonomics launch this week. So yeah, most of my attention was to that. Lots of pitching, lots of coordinating interviews. It was really fun, really fun. I don't know if you guys heard this, but Manu Sadia, the author, was actually on NPR's Marketplace Tech a couple days ago.
That's really cool.
Yeah, there's a chance he's going to be on Freakonomics pretty soon. So there's lots of good stuff coming out. Yeah.
I saw him on IO9.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Trekonomics.
Trekonomics.
Yeah.
We got a question from the audience. They said, let's see, Neil said, for many years writers kept drafts secret, fear of someone stealing their ideas. How do you walk the fine line between too much and not enough? That's probably something that we could chime in as writers, and also what your perspective is from the industry.
And as an addition to that, once you post things up on Inkshares, do you guys have protections where, because I know if you put up things on like fan fiction or whatever, you do have some limited protection for your intellectual property. So everything's safe when it goes up, right?
Well, you don't technically have a patent on the content as is, but that shows that there's a record of the content there, and there's definitely actions that we can take down the line if it becomes necessary. We haven't dealt with this problem yet.
Good.
So yeah, I don't think that it would be a regular problem. There might be some one-offs, but I have confidence that we'd be able to solve that.
Good. I'll be the surrogate for the chat.
Yeah. But yeah, from the author side, how do you guys deal with that? And just in terms of how, I think that question is a broader question, not just fear of people stealing your ideas, but how do you deal with sort of teasing people with the content, or how do you decide how many chapters to upload, and how to pace it out? I think that's an interesting question.
I think my biggest struggle is probably that, is trying to figure out, especially excerpt-wise, what do I want to put up? Because just putting up such a small portion of your story can give people the wrong impression of your story, especially if you only focus on one character or one aspect of the story, because if it's a multi-genre story, or if it's a book with a lot of subplots, then the stuff that the readers are going to find interesting as they're gradually discovering the book are going to be totally lost in that process of looking at your draft. So it's you're right, it's a fine line, and you have to figure out what is going to be the most attention-getting from the very beginning of getting readers invested, and then as your book starts to pre-order, you can start to drop a little bit more hints. I put up 3 more excerpts this week just because people were really responding to Proxy because of Draftshares. A lot of the reviews I were getting was, there's not a lot here, but I can tell it's going to be great. So I really wanted to drive that home of, yeah, it is, read more. So
yeah.
I think
it's probably better to share more in the draft phase than it is when you're funding.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't know if it really ever hurts to share more, but when you're funding, I think you have to realize that there's less of a chance that people are gonna go through and read more of it. Because a lot of times, like, if someone wants to buy the book, they don't want to read like a third of it before they buy it. They want to, save that experience for once they actually have the book.
Christine actually told me she struggled with that because she wanted to read more of my stuff, but she didn't want to ruin it for the book.
Yeah, I don't like to read more than 2 chapters usually when I'm checking out the projects. But if it's in the draft phase and you're like really trying to get the feedback, I think that's the ideal time to add more content.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a different perception when it's draft or funding. When I'm looking at a funding book, to buy a funding book, I look at the tag, the kind of elevator pitch on the top. The title, the elevator pitch, if that gets me, it's like they're like gatekeepers. It's like title, elevator pitch, maybe a little bit of the summary, and then if I'm feeling good about that, I go down to the first excerpt, the chapter, or whatever is in there, and I just essentially I just read the first paragraph. I'm looking for like style and cohesion and like, does this make sense? Do I feel like this is going to be a style that I'm going to get into? Do I feel like this person kind of has the chops to deliver on this book? If the answer is yes, then I'm pre-ordering. Like, I don't want to read anymore. I don't care anymore. There's one book that I want to read every chapter of as it's coming out. I've been reading every chapter of Deus Ex Machina as it comes out because I really like the concept. The concept just I was really sold on it. So, but
now it's part of the Time Laser.
I know, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
So I guess that's newer news, right?
Yeah. Maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I have thoughts on the how much of your book do you put out into the internet issue. I think that it's so hard to become a successful author that if someone were to, say, steal the first 3 episodes of my book that I have posted and then write their own ending, I don't see that becoming any more or less successful than I potentially could be. So I don't feel like it would be taking anything away from my potential book sales. I would be really interested to read it. It's kind of like to see what somebody else comes up with. And the only way it would be a problem is if they became like a best-selling author, using my stuff and saying it was theirs. They wrote it, they thought of it, and they became a best-selling author, and I didn't. I would be super mad.
The way I see it is no one else is Joe. So if somebody wants to, anybody can take an idea. There's lots of ideas, and lots of ideas that are similar in nature. But nobody's going to write it like I'm going to write it. And
exactly.
If they want to take an idea and run with it, I guarantee the end result's going to be,
very different.
90% different than what I'm going to do. So don't steal my ideas. But if you do, you're not.
Well, Weir obviously wasn't worried about his ideas getting stolen because he put his up chapter by chapter. We were just talking about this weekend at WisCon, which in our next episode, Karen and I will spend a small amount of time talking about how awesome WisCon is and how we all want to see you here next year. But that was one of the things we were talking about is the self-publishing aspect and how he got extremely lucky in that. But he basically put his entire book up on the internet, and then somebody found it, liked it, and got it published. So, I mean, he took a huge risk, and it paid off for him. So, okay, Joe, do you have any more questions before we move on to maybe giving out a couple prizes?
We have one. We have a question in the chat that says, "Would you recommend replacing draft chapters with more polished versions once you're in production, or leave the originals with all the lovely comments that people have left?"
That's tough.
That's very tough.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts, Avalon?
It is tough. Yeah, on one hand, people are going to read that initially in your book that you ship out to them once it's ready. I think there's something kind of beautiful to keeping it as is with all the comments and all that engagement, and I wouldn't want to lose that. Unfortunately, there's no way to sort of just replace that while keeping all the comments intact. So I think it's sort of just what you feel is right. If there's something that's really glaring in the previous excerpts that you want to change, or if just something is so good that it came out of the developmental editorial or the copy editing that would make it worthwhile to put that work out there. It's really just up to you.
If you didn't have a ton of them, though, you could just copy-paste them from the site and include them in your next draft and say, here's what other people thought about my previous incarnations of this chapter.
Yeah, definitely.
There are ways you could preserve them. It wouldn't be as the original, unfortunately, but you would have a record of it.
Yeah.
So. All right, Christine, should we get to the fun part of the show? Okay.
Sure.
All right. Do you want to go ahead?
Well, you say the prize, and I will.
All right. Are we just gonna go straight down the list?
The winner.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Book prizes first, and then we can come in as we need to throughout the show to do the rest.
Yep.
Okay. So, 4 book prizes for people who were so awesome this week and gave up their time and their energy and probably working on their own stuff to focus a little bit on other people's stuff, which is super cool, and I'm really glad we had this engagement this week. We have lots and lots of prizes. There are book prizes, swag prizes, and then prizes specifically for authors, which we have tried to save and specifically give into the pool of people. I don't know if we had a ton of just readers, so some people might be getting both. We'll see.
Yeah. We had a decent handful of non-author readers.
Good. I'm glad we had that. So our first set of prizes, I should say, the set of Asteroid Made of Dragons, a button, and a t-shirt offered up by G. Derek Adams. Not only 1, not 2, but 3 sets of these really cool things for Asteroid Made of Dragons. So Christine is going to be using a random number generator to figure out who is going to be our lucky winners. So Christine, the floor is yours. Give me 3 lucky winners.
Right. Okay, we've got, let's see, number 97, which is Jacqueline Young. And let me just grab that, jot it down.
I'm writing it down too, so we have
You should say
duplicate.
what she commented on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Why did we not think of that?
She commented on the Vatheron prologue. And going to generate the next number, dun, 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 which is 291. Scrolling. And that one goes to Smith Ellis, who commented on "And the Wolf Shall Dwell." And number 3.
I think it might be cool for the authors to know. The authors of
Yeah.
this draft. Somebody won a
Totally.
prize for commenting on my book.
Yeah.
There we go.
And that's by Joni D, right? And the Wolf Shall Dwell.
Yep. Joni D. Yep. Oh, and then we have Scott Cars for also the Vatheron prologue. Is the 3rd winner for that one.
Yay!
How exciting. All right. Are you good for our next one?
Yep.
Okay. A signed copy of 5 Minutes and the 5 exclusive art pieces made by Tabby Card.
5 Minutes is one of the stories in Scribbles, right?
I wasn't sure, so I didn't want
I
to say.
think it is. I think so. But she also published it on its
story.
own. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Scribbles is a collection of stories. All right, so for that one, we have Lauren Drube, who commented on The Elements Dissension.
All right. I have too many drawers on my desk. Hold on. Just trying to get out some lined paper. And I have one drawer that's completely full of all my paper that I make my legal pads out of because I'm a nerd who writes by hand. And it's so heavy right now that I feel like I have to turn into the Hulk to open it.
I'm copying and pasting these, so if you don't want to write them down, you don't have to.
You know I am with multitasking. So, okay. The next prize is a signed copy of Ageless by Paul Inman.
Okay, generating the number. 146 is Ken Lindsay.
Ken!
Yeah,
He's my buddy this week. I owe Ken.
In the chat right now.
He is. Ken, you're the best.
Congratulations.
Yeah, Ken wants something. Congratulations.
Ken has
Yeah.
been talking with me since we were at WizCon, and he is genuinely excited about Proxy, so I am genuinely excited about him as a human being. All right. Another set we have 3 hard copy covers of Journey, a Short Story, and I'm not sure who that's by. Can you guys help me out with that?
Richard
It's by
Saunders.
Richard Saunders.
Is that Richard Saunders? Okay,
Yeah.
Journey, a Short Story by Richard Saunders. 3 hard copy cover.
Sorry, the list is quite long, so it takes some scrolling to find these guys. That first one goes to P.H. James.
Another one. P.H. James was my
Yeah.
buddy this week, too.
He was very active.
H. James is also in the chat right now.
Okay. Then we'll get a new number. Number 66. Which is okay, this last name I have trouble with. Christopher Lee Eichenauer?
Probably
Eichenauer? I think it's Eichenauer.
But
I
we're
see his
sorry
name
for
all the time.
got it wrong.
I'm sorry
Yeah.
for butchering your name. And the third one will go to Duncan Rafferty for his comments on the damnation of man.
Okay. All right, our next is a copy of Shadow of the Owl by Amanda Ornick.
Yep, and that
Who's
was
also the
one.
author Deus
Who's-
Ex
Yes, she's also the
Exactly.
author of Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, she actually has two shadow books. She'll correct me in the chat if I get it wrong. I think
Yeah,
Is she in the chat too? Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
An owl.
you have to tell me if they're both out right now. I know that Shadow.
Panther. I think
Yeah.
is that one the draft?
Don't know if that one is out in a form that you could buy, but you can get Shadow of the Owl.
Yes. Yeah, she self-published that one. You can get it on Amazon, I know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
Owl is the only one out right now, but there is another book in that series if you like the first one.
But that's different than her current story, right? That's more of a fantasy, and the one
Yeah,
she
it's not
has is
in the
more of a
same-
cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm.
all right, and that one's going to P.H. James for
Wow.
one of his The Long Game comments.
It's a good day for PH.
Yeah, it pays to be extra active. You get more
Mhm.
chances to win. All right.
Order of Dax Harrison by. Why can't I remember Tony's last name?
Tony Valdez.
Valdez. Thank you. I literally almost said at Rock Hollywood. Because I always see his Twitter, because he's one of the people that frequently, we engage with sarcasm on Twitter, which I appreciate. So.
Yeah, he's great on Twitter. And everywhere. Tony's great.
Okay.
So that's going to Scott Cars, and that was for one of his proxy comments.
Woo! Thank you, Scott. Well done. I'm glad that my book rewarded you since you rewarded me.
Reciprocal.
Order of Bones of the Past. Is that Craig Monroe?
That's Craig's,
Yes.
We should have probably put the author's names in here.
You guys are doing really good.
yeah.
Okay.
We should just know these all off the top of our
This is what we get for just leaving Slack all day.
You guys have like cards.
I actually have a person standing behind my camera with key cards, which don't tell anybody.
That's awesome.
Right, so this is the first non-author reader to win a prize. This is going to Chris Young, who commented on Cinderella and the Bluebeard.
Oh, I didn't hear about that one. Is that another fairy tale?
You should check it out. Yeah, there's a lot of new fairy tales projects going on right now. Very exciting if you're into that.
Okay, and the last one, I mean, not saying it's, you know, a great story or anything, but it's probably going to be pretty awesome, and it's a future copy of Proxy, which goes on sale Monday.
Ooh.
All right, and that's going to Duncan Rafferty, and that was for one of his Synops feedback, which was on the forum.
All right, congratulations, Duncan. Okay, so let's switch it up. We're going to save a couple of the other prizes till later in the show because we like torturing you guys, and we know the minute we read all the prizes, you'll leave. So, Avalon, there's a couple other things that I wrote down that I wanted to ask you about. First off, Inkshares is doing a Father's Day special thing that we saw. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a big book promotion. We're giving 50 to 75% off for all books within the Father's Day selection. So basically, our goal was to have books for any type of father. So it would be easy to order the book now and have it in time for Father's Day, and it's also a good way to promote the books that we already have published on Inkshares. So there's quite a few there, from Herb to The Future of Men to, I think, Journey's in there, and quite a few others. And we're only doing this while supplies last, and for some books, you know, there's not a ton of stock at the Inkshares headquarters. So,
which is good. It means they're selling.
It means they're selling, yeah. I'm looking through it right now. Lots of beautiful books waiting to get ordered and given to your dads. So,
I grabbed one.
And we have
earlier.
Actually, we have more promotions similar to this scheduled for throughout the year, based on different holidays or different seasons. So
that's good news.
That'll become a regular thing, and it's also an opportunity to showcase more of the books that we have published.
Is there anything that you can share with us, like any hot scoops?
Hot scoops? Yeah, super hot. Let's see. We're gonna have a summer beach read one pretty soon.
Ooh.
That'll be fun. There's gonna be a back to school one. Definitely science fiction and fantasy around Comic-Con time.
Nice.
So,
you know your audience.
Good stuff in store. Yeah, good stuff in store.
So Avalon, are these all different mechanisms that you guys are trying to use to encourage the Year of the Reader, which we keep hearing about?
Definitely. More to come, too. Yeah, I mean, I think looking back on Inkshares this past year, you can tell that we've put a lot of emphasis on finding new content, bringing on more authors to the community, and really helping to create tools that authors can use to engage with new readers and engage with their current community of readers, etc. And I think the next step and what we're working on now is finding ways to bring more readers into the platform. And a lot of that does have to do with drafts and other books that are in production and other books that are published, and really working on honing in on what people are interested in and how individuals on the platform can find better content that better suits their individual interests. I think is going to be a huge focus for us in the coming months. Year of the Reader.
Year of the Reader. We have a couple questions from the chat. Are there any plans to do group tables or anything like that at conventions that Inkshares authors can attend?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to do more of this, and I think a lot of it has to do with resources. You know, we're a small team, 7 people. We can't go to every convention, but we do want to be able to support our authors in the various conventions that they attend throughout the United States. And, you know, there's the Frankfurt Book Fair, which I think Brian Guthrie goes to. So I think that we definitely want to be able to do that in the future. And we're going to be starting that with Comic-Con this year. We're actually going to debut the first 2 Nerdist books at Comic-Con with Nerdist at Petco Park. Yeah, welcome to Deadland, awesome. And it's all fun and games.
Wow.
Yeah, and hopefully other authors will be able to attend, and we can help promote their books. And we're definitely going to bring a bunch of the science fiction and fantasy books that we have already there, so that we can do giveaways. And, you know, if you have bookmarks that you want us to pass out, we can do that. Yeah, I mean, there's
awesome.
lots of promotional opportunities at those kinds of fairs and conventions. So
we need to get some little flyers for Draftshares Last Call for them to hang out.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That'd be really cool. Yeah, I would love to have just a big merch table where people can come and, like, I love fantasy books with dragons in them. After I made a Dragons is my perfect book, I'll take this and read it and review it and share it on Twitter and everything. So yeah, we did that last year with Comic-Con Abomination. We premiered it at Comic-Con last year. Gave away, I think, 250 copies, which really helps generate word of mouth. So I hope to do more and more of that any chance we have.
Well, speaking of conventions, like I said, Kara and I just went up to WizCon and we had a great time. And one of the things that we kept hearing is that we would ask the authors on the panels questions that were kind of tailored to more like vanity publishing and like what we're doing in Inkshares. And what we kept hearing was, well, traditional publishing's not dead. It's a myth. It's not going away. And I know that it's not going away, and I know that it's not dead. But it's definitely, I think it's getting its cage rattled a little bit. So what advantages do you think an author has coming to a place like Inkshares, or what is better for the author than trying to fight against the big publishing houses?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that we get asked a lot, I think, because if you're going to be offered a traditional publishing deal, why not take it? A lot of people think, and that totally works. There's a lot of things about traditional publishing that are not broken, that are super effective, and that we've taken and absorbed into our own model in order to be a really effective book publishing company. But even if you are able to get seen by an agent or a traditional book publishing company, it's really hard to get the word out there about your book, and a lot of these traditional publishers don't have the same resources that we do in terms of promotion, especially just by virtue of the fact that the book didn't go through this initial groundswell of crowdfunding. So it doesn't enter the market with this pre-market validation where it's been vetted by hundreds and hundreds of readers. That's really crucial. It's kind of a daunting aspect for a lot of authors, I think, to crowdfund. But when you think about it, it makes perfect sense that having all of those people vote for your book by ordering it in advance of actually being able to read the whole thing really shows a lot about your story and the ability for it to find a fit into the broader market of books. A lot of indie bookstores are really excited about what we're doing at Inkshares. We're now in almost 400 bookstores across the U.S. and that's awesome. Counting, that's Barnes and Noble as one bookstore. So yeah, it's we're getting up there, and it's really exciting, and it makes it a lot more. It makes it easier to launch the book on Pub Day, Pub Week. Having all of these supporters and being able to tell the story of how this book came to be. I'm not a literary agent that just found this book and was like, oh, I think this is great based on my hunch, so let's throw money towards it and produce it. Like, no, there's hundreds of readers that want to read your book, that are going to leave reviews for you, that are going to tell their friends and family about your book. They might buy a copy and give it to their dad for Father's Day. There's a lot of support for the books that reach their goals, and that is really exciting.
I think my favorite thing about Inkshares is trends are not dictating what books are going to get published this year. You guys don't set out at the beginning of the year like a publishing house does and said, okay, we're only buying.
It's the reverse of that.
Yeah,
it's like say that exactly. The crowdfunds dictate these trends. And I don't know if you guys know about our whole Hollywood angle, but we're represented by United Talent Agency in Hollywood. And so there's starting to be a lot of important eyes on Inkshares content because they do see it as precursors of larger trends in the industry. And if you're able to take a book that's already been, vetted for its value, so to speak, by hundreds of readers who want to read it, that's a better indication that this could turn into an awesome TV show or movie or video game or whatever kinds of derivative rights are out there. Based on the book.
You're at the beginning of the trend instead of catching up to the trend.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly where I would be. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
And I also I'm realizing that everybody talks about it, but it doesn't really hit you until you watch people's books come out. How important the reviews are. And And so we have this group of people who could potentially pile on reviews, the more that we encourage, the better, right around when the book is released, which is amazing. That's an amazing advantage to have. It's really
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Joe, what were you gonna say?
I was just going to say, I mean, you take a book like Asteroid Made of Dragons, and if you try to get it traditionally published, and you say, like, well, I've got this, like, fantasy satire humor, like, adventure romp, and then, like, try to pitch it at somebody, like, it might be a kind of a hard sell, but then it turns out to be a really excellent book.
That's another thing that kept getting brought up at con was people would read their, like, the established authors would give a speech and read their letters of rejection, basically. And 99% of the time, the reason a manuscript was rejected came along the lines of, we don't know how to market this. And that's the really cool thing about Inkshares is you don't have to worry about fitting into a genre, because even if you have to choose one of those genres that are listed on the website, you don't have to specifically say that that's all my story is, and you guys aren't enforcing it with, well, this isn't science fiction, this is you have to tailor this to this specific genre. So that's another really cool thing, is that you can be genre blending, you can be super original, and you can break barriers, which is really fantastic.
Definitely.
All right.
We have one question from the chat. On Inkshares, are ebooks selling more or paperbacks? What's the mix of that?
Oh, paperbacks are selling more for sure. Yeah. That's
kind of fun. It's fun to
that makes me happy.
I hope that more ebooks will sell too, because that's just really good for business. But it's also the margins are bigger for paperback and hardback. So, and also that's what we're creating, these physical print books that you can have with you for life. And I think that they're going to be, I have a feeling they're always going to be more popular than ebooks.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
like
nice to have
everybody
my
else.
Inkshares shelf.
Yeah, I like everybody else got a Nook or a Kindle or whatever you got, your basic e-reader a couple of years ago, or you started reading on your phone. But I do a lot of my reading right before I go to bed. Like, I make time to be in bed at a certain time so I can get at least a half an hour to maybe an hour of reading before I go to bed. And I don't want to be on a phone. I don't want to be on a tablet to do that, because it's going to mess up my eyes before I go to bed. So I want a physical hard copy book. So I'm glad that people are not just totally abandoning the traditional books in lieu of the easiness of technology and bringing you to reading.
Absolutely. I think that was a myth that was debunked, that ebooks were going to take over print copies. It's just not happening.
I love that for when you buy a book through you guys, that you get the e-copy as well. Like when you buy the physical book.
If it's in the crowdfunding stage, absolutely. And part of that is because we can send that out to backers a month before the book actually publishes. So that's kind of, a special thing that the backers get, and it also gives them a chance to be able to leave a review right on Pub Week.
Yeah, I like to get the physical book, because I want to touch it and smell it.
Yeah.
Oh, especially when it's a book that you helped fund, then it's I got Trekonomics, and I got it, and then I took the cover off, because it's hardcover, and I always want to take the cover off.
Didn't you do that on air, by the way?
No, I don't remember
just
when I did it, but I just touch the hardcover and smell the pages, and then that one I've actually read mostly on the physical, but a lot of times I get the physical one because I want the tactile stuff, but then I end up reading the ebook on my Kindle.
Yeah.
But I want it. I want the physical one, though.
I think it's just always gonna be a balance. It's never gonna just be one or the other. People want both for different reasons. So they're always gonna buy both. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we did talk about the reviews and talking about books actually getting into production, because with Draftshares, this is what we were originally aiming to do, is bring highlight and encouragement to books that are not into the sales phase yet, that eventually maybe want to be. So I want to take some time now and talk a little bit about the reviews that we got this week for different projects, as well as listing which projects actually got the most attention for various reasons. So some of the highlights that we had pulled out that we liked and we thought were encouraging were a comment by Christopher Johnson on the Churlish Tales, which is a fairy tale. Correct me if I'm wrong, Christy.
Yeah, very modernized fairy tales.
Well,
They're
when I
very
saw the
funny.
word churlish, my mind immediately went to that Key and Peele sketch because I'm a teacher, the substitute one, where he's like, all the kids, they're messing up their names. He calls them all churlish. I don't know. That's where my mind goes because that's how my mind works. But so Christopher Johnson on Churlish says, ha 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 ha, long extended. No one will ever swipe right on you. This is great. You have really done your work on melding the old fairy tales with modern occurrences.
Yeah, and that was on the Tinderella portion.
Cinderella.
Yeah.
See, if I'd have known that, that would have been much funnier when I read it.
You should check that book out.
So, P.H. James on The Darkest Places had to say, I love it. This is a great example of the first line that grabs a reader's attention in a right way. So definitely go to The Darkest Places, which is a horror kind of action-adventure story that hopefully will be coming out soon. That was one of the ones I was really excited about. It reminds me of Indiana Jones and the Mummy, that kind of time period with all the different historical elements and archaeology going on in it.
By coming out, do you mean go into funding?
Yes.
Oh.
Loving the atmosphere, says Craig Monroe on Sundowning. You're creating here in the whole section. Nothing overtly bad. It makes your skin crawl just a little. Sundowning was also horror. Am I help me out, Christine?
Let me check it out.
I don't think it was. Now that I say that,
It's either dark fantasy or horror.
it's one of the two. Because I remember Sundowning was one that Snarky Darksea also promoted.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. Oh, it is horror. Yep.
It is horror. Okay.
Yep.
So anything that is a horror book that makes your skin crawl a little is really good.
That's what you're going for.
And then another book that I thought got a lot of attention, which surprised me because I actually kind of reached out to this person and was like, hey, I noticed you followed me. I think your book would be a really good candidate for this. And Ian Farrell of Reflection ended up getting quite a bit of attention. She got 4 different reviews just from this week, which is awesome, considering some books didn't get a lot of attention at all, which is unfortunate. But let's see, LV. Just initials. Reflection is a beautiful beginning to what looks like a series of amazing proportions. You will instantly find favorites and mortal enemies within only a few moments of reading. People who deserve death and those who need to win. However, whether that happens or not is to be decided. Beautifully written by someone who clearly has a passion for their story. If you're not a fan of fantasy, you will definitely enjoy it. Or if you are a fan of fantasy, you will definitely enjoy Reflection. It's a very interesting take on Beauty and the Beast that I really like the way they're incorporating the old elements of the story, but in a new way with a character who kind of curses himself rather than has the curse put upon him by like a bad fairy. So I really liked that element. But definitely check out Reflection by Ian Farrell. Okay. Joe, do we have any more questions before we move on to our swag portion?
I don't have any questions from the chat. I have one question for Avalon.
Okay, go for it.
Are there any drafts that have caught your eye, or anything you're looking forward to?
All of them,
Bring that
guys.
one out.
No, I was,
That's like a student asking the teacher, am I your favorite? Who's your favorite?
that's so
Your
hard.
favorite
I
class?
feel like somebody from like Inkshares proper, like recommends or follows a book. It's always like a buzz for somebody to draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
get
think
joked
Jeremy's
you
really
guys
good
do
at that.
that.
Yeah,
I guess
we should do
that's
more of it.
That's a good extension of that question. Do you Inkshares staff? Are you really discriminating in the ones that you follow and comment on, or do you just sort of sweep through and follow lots and lots of books and comment on lots of them?
That's a
Pre-order
great
lots of
question. Yeah, that's a really great question. I think it totally depends on the person you're talking about. I know Jeremy actually talked about this in a Right Brain episode, the one where JF was at old Inkshares headquarters.
Oh, yeah, that episode.
Yeah, we're so happy we're not there anymore, by the way. And have our own space, and now we can line our walls with all the books we're making. But
Nobody gets mad about dogs now.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, Jeremy really takes his time and goes through and likes and comments and pre-orders books that he really feels strongly about. So he's pretty discriminatory, but also, prolific in his liking and sharing of content. I feel like I have to be very focused on the books I'm working on. so I don't have as much time as I'd like to go through and discover all the new content. There's so much amazing content on Inkshares. So almost for selfish reasons, I want us to get just really good at surfacing new content all the time, so that that's more possible. But I think all of us, definitely pre-order the books that we're really passionate about, and want to share as much content as we can.
I'm glad that you guys are engaged in it in a way that you're not just, we're the execs, this is our company, we have to run it, but we don't really, we don't want to hang out with the people, obviously you're on our show, so you guys are, you guys understand.
We're so passionate about it. Yeah.
Oh man, one of the things that one of the authors said at WisCon, talking about the way some publishers who come into it from the business side look at books. They look at books like widgets. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a thing that I can sell, and they don't care about the content at all. They just want something that's sellable so that they can sell it to a lot of people. And I don't get the feeling that our books are widgets for Inkshares to sell.
Not at all. No, I mean, first and foremost, we're all really engaged readers. We're passionate, avid readers. So we want good books, and we want to create the books that we want to read too, But that being said, by virtue, our model will turn up stuff that we are not deciding on, and I think that that's a really good balance for us to come upon books that we're really excited about reading, but also for books to get published that we wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise, and maybe discover genres that we never knew that we loved.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the people that participated this week, I wanted to bring a little attention to. This isn't a very good segue because I was reading and not really listening, so I apologize. Before we do our swag prizes, I do want to explain some of the stats that Christine was really awesome.
Do you want to do the prizes first?
Do we need to?
Well, we have 2 more sets of prizes. So we can
yeah, I know.
Stats in the middle.
Okay, we can do stats in the middle. Okay, so let's do swag prizes.
We gotta give the viewers some extra prizes. Let's see. So you've got the list, right?
Yes. Okay, so first swag prize is the Church of Technology, which is part of the Deus Ex Machina story by Amanda Ornick, which she has a pendant and is it one, or because it says pendant and shirts? So is it multiple shirts? I don't know about that.
Sure. We'll find out. It's at least 1 pendant and 1 shirt.
Yeah, and it's the Church of Technology pendant that they actually have in the book. So it's like straight out of the book kind of swag, which is really, really cool. So that's that.
All right. So that will be going to Christopher Johnson for one of his comments on the damnation of man.
Now, our next one is really cool because it is an original drawing by an artist named Jack Katz, who I think was brought in by Matt Isaac. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Right.
For those of you who don't know who Jack Katz is, I believe he's involved with comics.
He's a very prolific comic book artist.
Right.
I looked it up when Matt started talking about him, and he's been
just a heads up on that. I don't know if it's still going on, but I mean, he's had a long history in comics, and also he has a Patreon up so that he can continue to do his work. And with these artists that have been around for a long time, if it would be a shame to see somebody who's been so prolific their entire life to not be able to continue to do this. So if you're listening to this right now or afterwards, look up the artist. If you like what he's doing, check his Patreon. Consider throwing some money his way and keep that dream alive.
Yeah, he's been drawing comics since the 1940s. So
amazing.
Like, a really long time. A lot of comics to his name. A lot. And we have an original drawing of his, right?
Yep.
Original.
Yeah.
Right. And that's going to P8. And that comment was on A Tale of Mist and Shadow.
I don't know
your
if
audio
this
cut
was
out.
yeah, can you say it again?
PH James, yep.
Man, he is making it like a bandit today.
Yeah, he was. I think he was our 4th most active commenter, so that makes sense. It appears to be super active.
Yes, it does. The next really cool swag prize we have is brought to you from our own Kara A.C. Weston, who is offering up a Ladies of Sci-Fi poster.
Yeah. It's Furiosa, Ellen Ripley, Sarah Connor, and Princess Leia, and Uhura.
Very cool.
It's a good poster.
Looking awesome.
Yeah. Is that going to be the colored version or the black and white?
I guess we can ask whoever wins. They can have whatever they want. Because I have it in color. My husband colored it. I didn't.
Can I just buy a copy? Because that sounds kick-ass.
Yes, you can buy a copy. Sure.
No pressure.
I gotta get my life together. Start selling these online.
You can throw them up on what's Redbubble.
There you go.
Redbubble.
Or
At least,
Etsy.
you're finishing a book and you're making life, so I think you got your hands full right now.
That's true.
Yeah. With Etsy, you'd have to like print it and ship it yourself.
Oh,
On Redbubble, you just upload it.
That's true.
Right.
Okay, so
who's our winner?
Who's my poster?
The winner is Scott Cars, once again, for one of his human resources comments.
Yay, Scott, I'll email you, I assume, right?
We'll be in touch. We're going to have Inkshares help us out getting in touch with the winners.
Yeah, and once we have all the winners, we're going to kind of talk about how they can get in communication with us, too, because we have our email, so.
Okay.
And then a mixed CD with a custom cover art by our own Christine Beneke.
Yep, it's going to have a light fantasy CD, a dark fantasy CD, and a summer jams.
That's awesome.
So let's see who's getting that. Also Scott Cars.
Everyone else is like, curse you, Scott Cars! Curse you, Peach James!
He an incredible amount of comments. So he put the work in.
Well, that's awesome. Was he one of the top commenters?
He was the top commenter.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
This just says when Draftshares 2 comes out, people are going to know, like, get those comments in, because there's a lot of prizes to get.
There will be way more commenting. That's true.
Yep.
And for our probably most coveted prize among the swag is $25 in Inkshare credits provided to us from the company. Very awesome of them to do. So this is specifically going to be for a reader, okay?
Yep. Yeah, we have 2 sets of these, so this one's for the reader. See who it is. Austin Ives.
Good, new name.
On the reign of the Twilight King.
Okay, congratulations, Austin. I hope you spend those next week when a maybe very cool book comes out on Monday.
I'm not sure what.
I don't know. I just keep hearing about this really obnoxious author. Will not stop tweeting about it.
Yeah. Or you could order one ebook of that, and then one of the books in the video games Nerdist contest.
Yeah, you could do that.
Or
if you wanted to, you could just buy portions of the DLC Authors Collection, which will be soon completed by my own book, which I finally got all of the books ordered for Draftshares. So I now have my own collective of all the Draftshares authors books that will be soon coming my way, which will be really awesome.
Soon.
Okay, now, if it's okay with Christine, I would like to talk about stats. Sorry, I got 7 and 8 on our show notes out of order. God forbid. We should have probably talked about this from the beginning before we started getting prizes, but we had approximately 50 participants for our first week, and I think that's pretty extraordinary, considering how hard it was to get the word out about it and how few people are actually on like Goodreads and the forums right now when you look at the amount of people on Inkshares. So I was really happy with 50 participants coming out of that. And as Christine said, the most feedback was given by Scott Cars, who is the author of several drafts, including one that was in the Draftshares event called Adventures of Mono Man. The biggest giver of synopsis feedback was Craig Monroe, who is the author of Bones of the Past. He was one of the books that we had as our prizes. And he was one of the winners of the second Sword and Laser contest. So make sure that you guys give the love back, because they took a lot of time and effort to help you guys out, give you some feedback. So make sure you give Scott and Craig a little love, maybe through purchases or their own commentary, because Mono Man is still a draft. The top 5 most critiqued projects were Human Resources, which is a sci-fi novel by Robert, what is the last name? Because it was not...
No last name given.
No last name. Okay. I was going to say, why is there no last name, Christine? Okay, so Human Resources.
I know what it is.
Science fiction novel by Robert. Number 2 is the Vathran Prologue, a sci-fi novel by L.V. Tordeki 1694 and Other Stories, historical fiction written by Elon Samuel, who we will be have as a guest on our show in 2 weeks.
Or 3 weeks? Well,
3 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks, because Mondays...
2 weeks and 2 days.
Yeah.
Yes.
16 days. 4, Elements, The Dissension, which is a fantasy novel by Lorne Drube. And then this little story called Proxy, which is a dark fantasy novel by Rebecca S. Lewer, but she's cool. Which I
hear she has really good eyeliner.
I hear she does it pretty well because she's a painter, so she's got pretty good experience with that. And I swear to God, I'm not making this up. Christine actually put in there that it was the most critiqued draft. So I swear, I know I'm hosting, but I'm not just saying that. It's actually in there. I'm reading it. So,
yeah.
Okay. That being
I went in and looked at the forum because we asked people who wanted help with their synopsis, like because the idea is that one thing that will make your project stronger for when it goes into funding is to have a really good synopsis on your project page. So we invited people to put up a post on the Inkshares forum titled Synopsis Edits in the book title, and there are 15 of those. So, yay, 15 books. So if you, this can go beyond today if you want to go in there and help people out.
Continue.
And new drafters, I think, can just always go in there and just put up synopsis edits and ask for help, even though it's not this week. And we can all help each other out.
And we should.
And we should.
Keep that draft dream alive.
Yeah, we shouldn't just stop doing Draftshares stuff because Draftshares is over. I mean, we need to continue the process of commenting, reviewing, critiquing, all of that. So.
Yep. Community building.
Exactly.
Making everyone's projects even stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I'm getting down to the end here, and I want to make sure I get everything in. So, other than the last group of prizes, all we have is some commentary of the things that people said about Draftshares. So I want to give the floor one more time to Avalon because she's been so kind to give up her time. So Avalon, is there anything? I know you said there was limited things on what you could share with us today, but any fun things coming down the pipeline at Inkshares that authors and readers would be keen to know about?
Yeah, lots of stuff. As you said, I can't talk about the exact things that we have in store till we can launch them, but there's going to be more fun contests coming down the pipeline, not limited to science fiction and fantasy. So we're going to be branching out in a couple other genres. I think mainly comedy and horror we're most interested in checking out next. So yeah, get ready for that. If you have friends that are authors but haven't thought of Inkshares as their home because there's this big support system around science fiction and fantasy, we're really open to all genres, and we're going to make an effort to showcase them more.
Can you tell us who's sponsoring those horror and comedy ones yet, or is that okay? Is there? But there is sponsorship.
There's partnership.
There's partnership.
Yeah, just like Nerdist, we partnered with for these contests and Sword and Laser. Cool. Yeah.
Any other cool things that you want to say about Inkshares or that we would care about?
I think I just want to say thank you to you guys. Not only Draftshares who put this on, but everyone else who participated in it. I've said it before, but we couldn't have built this community by ourselves, and in a lot of ways it's become something much bigger than we ever thought possible. I think the fact that you guys are closer to the product than we are sometimes, and are aware of trends and exciting features and how to use them or how to make them better than we are is really cool. You know, we've given a lot of time and love and effort into this thing called Inkshares, and to watch it blossom into what it is today and what it can be is incredibly gratifying.
Have you been with them since the inception, Avalon? Like, are
no, I
original?
actually just had my 1 year like a week ago. So I haven't been around that long. My first day was the close of the first Sword and Laser contest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then immediately started working on those books. It's a lot of fun. Like, it feels like I haven't been here that long, but in another way it feels like I can't really remember what existed before Inkshares. You know? It's like
a lot of us feel that way.
Yeah.
There's a comment that you can pass along to all of the Inkshares staff. Evan Graham said, "I really love how engaged the Inkshares staff is with the community just in general. It's awesome."
That makes us very happy. We'll continue to do so.
Well, building on that, Evan Graham also commented on the whole concept of Draftshares, and that's kind of what I was leading up to.
Him again.
I really enjoyed the idea of Draftshares. I feel like Inkshares, being a community of writers all striving for the common goal of publication, makes it the perfect environment to receive meaningful, educated criticism from like-minded peers. I feel like it was a real shot in the arm for a lot of people's projects, and I'm glad to have been a part of it. So thanks for your kind words to both Inkshares and to Draftshares, Evan, and hopefully you continue to participate next year.
Yeah. Yeah, and we would love to continue to support these efforts from the community. It's a lot of fun and really important, as you said.
Avalon, are there any new features for readers or writers that you're aware of coming down the pipeline that you're allowed to talk about or excited about?
Not really. I mean, there are, but not that I can speak to yet. We'll want to launch them, in a bigger, more comprehensive way. And as you probably know, things change while you're building it as you flesh out ideas and make it better and better. But as we talked about it is the year of the reader, and we want to just continue to increase the utility of drafts and of engaging with content and of surfacing new content. So there's going to be a lot of effort around all of those things.
Cool.
I'm sorry I can't be more exact.
No, I totally get it.
Yeah. You guys are like, get out of here already.
No, it's our job to it's our job to press for information, and it's your job to press against that and only give what you can give.
I mean, the fact that you guys care so much to ask these questions is in itself awesome. So we want to give to you. We want to make it. We want to make Inkshares as awesome as possible.
It's funny you should say that, Avalon, because we actually all had a bet right before the last contest of what was going to be.
We did.
Nobody were all wrong.
And we were all wrong.
No one guessed video games.
That's funny.
Video games.
Wait, what did you guys think it was going to be? What were some
Wait,
ideas?
Actually, I have a list somewhere.
I know mine was
awesome.
steampunk. Mine was steampunk.
Oh, that would be cool. That's the thing. There's limitless, boundless contest theme ideas. So hopefully we'll never stop.
I think if you guys did that, though, not limit it to steampunk, but any kind of punk, because there are so many kinds now. But just a punk-styled story would be really cool contest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I read off the official bets?
Do they
give us more ideas?
So I thought it was going to be historical fantasy. Ricardo had epic fantasy. Kara was in for horror.
I did think it would be horror.
And Brian Guthrie was for just straight up fantasy, no
qualifiers.
Yeah, no qualifiers.
I feel like
that was the first. Yeah. That was the first Nerdist contest. Was science fiction and fantasy broad.
Yeah.
The Sword and Laser.
And then Amanda Orneck had screenplay as her major.
Yeah, it's a cool idea.
Yeah. So we were all wrong.
I wasn't
this
right,
time.
but I was right about everyone else being wrong. So, like I
Me
should have
too.
been.
Whatever
But
helps
were
you
you-
sleep at night, Kara.
I actually like I really like the concept that's going on in this current contest where it's not restricted by genre, it's restricted by topic, and I think that
Yeah, that
you
was
see a
an
lot of
interesting
variety. You know, there's so many different. You know, you have fiction, nonfiction, and it's really interesting to see how people take just a simple concept and spin it in a way that works for their book.
Gothic horror. One of them's a gothic horror. But then Nerdist makes its announcement. It says video game adventure. So then,
Yeah.
so then
Like,
I think
gonna
it's
be so much that aren't
still more broad than that.
it can be.
Yeah.
Who knows what will win?
Yeah.
Yeah, I work with
this
I
is
do a lot
looking
of
like an interesting contest already.
Yeah, I do a lot of work. I do a lot of technical work when I'm not writing, and even though we do, programming is something that could be difficult. We always say in our office that communication is the most difficult thing that you can do, because it's like getting everybody, the words that come out and the things that you write down, and getting everybody, all different teams and different areas, all on the same page is incredibly difficult. There's always going to be some word that gets slipped out that's like, oh, you shouldn't have adventure in there, or something like that.
Yeah.
Joe, do we have any more questions for Avalon from the forum?
I don't see anything in here.
Okay, then let's finish this baby up with the last of our prizes for our authors, which we saved for last just to be torturous. So these are prizes specifically for people who are authors on Inkshares, not readers. So that's why we gave out the $25 Inkshares credits to a reader in the last swag prize. So,
and I
go
want
ahead.
to say one thing. If for some reason someone wants to decline one of these, like maybe they have a lot of stage fright and don't want to come on to Draftshares as a guest or something like that, or they already have a cover that they are in love with, just that's okay. You can gift it to someone else, or you can let us know, and we'll just draw another person for that prize.
But we'll try and make sure that you get something cool out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, so first prizes up for the authors is Video Editing by Yiqing, is it Liu? I'm going to pronounce that wrong, and I'm going to feel really bad about it. L-I-U?
Yiqing.
Is it Liu?
Liu?
Louis? Okay.
I say Liu in my head, but
Liu.
I don't know.
I'm not really up on my, I don't know if it's Mandarin or Cantonese or what, but I'm not really up on it. So, Yiqing, he is offering video editing services for a book trailer.
All right, and that is going to Christopher Lee, the same last name issue.
Eichenauer?
Yes.
I would say it's Eichenauer. That's how I've always pronounced it in my
You
head.
can tell us if we're wrong.
Yeah, we'll correct
And they
it
do.
in the next episode.
Yeah, you know how many times like they
Apologize.
butchered my last name on Right Brain,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like even like I've talked to him multiple times and explained how to pronounce it, and it's not that hard. It's Trziva. It's not that hard. Every single time they screw it up.
what? Joe, I had your name in my head totally different before I heard you say it for the first time,
Yeah, say it one
and
more
it's
time.
hard to break that.
Trziva.
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 Okay.
Yeah, just think like
Trziva.
the mnemonic. Just think like zebra.
I know it's like
Trziva.
Trziva.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody says Trziva.
Okay, Trziva. Cool.
Trziva. Yeah.
See,
You can
this
call
is
it whatever you want,
basically,
it doesn't matter.
Just ignore the I.
this I'm so used to because this is the first day of every school year. Is you have 120 to like 150 kids that come through your classroom throughout 7 classes, and that's all you do is you arrange them in a seating order and try to not mangle their names as best you can.
Rough.
Yeah, it's rough. So our next author is Cover Design by Elena May Darcy.
And her cover designs are fantastic.
They are fantastic. She does all of her own graphic stuff for her book stuff too, so she does a really fantastic job with that.
Right, and that's Christopher Johnson.
What did he write again?
Oh gosh.
Because
Someone with a faster
can look
internet.
him up.
Look it up really
we
fast.
mentioned him for one of the comments, but we didn't say which books he wrote.
I should know, but I've looked at so many things in the last
7
week.
Days
Everything's
Dead.
blank.
7 Days
Oh.
Dead. It's that zombie outbreak one in the Middle East.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that looks really cool.
Yeah. Look, it does. It looks really interesting.
The next one we have is an interview on the Warbler. For those of you guys who might not know what that is, Elon Samuel runs a blog called The Warbler, and he works really close with you guys, right, Avalon? I know that he's always hanging out with you guys.
We love Alon.
So
Hi, Alon. If you're watching this, you probably know that.
he gets special treatment because he lives out in San Francisco.
Yeah.
But,
well, East Bay, actually.
Yeah, and
Which
he
is where we are now.
He does editing for you guys too, doesn't he?
No.
No.
Or for Girl Friday?
With
No, I think he might have been working with John Robbins.
with John
for a
Robbins
while.
editing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
I thought
it
that he
something-
was working with Girl Friday or doing some like freelance for like some
Story
of the some
Perfect,
No.
I think, or something.
Not yet, but that would be cool. We love Girl
Yeah.
Friday.
We love Elon.
yeah. we do.
Yes.
For those of you guys who didn't know that it was going on, Elon has actually been putting up little snippets all week on the Warbler to, I think each day he chose a different promotion for a genre.
So cool.
Yeah, so we had horror, we had fantasy, we had science fiction, there was like an other category which had like humor, romance, all of that, and then he did a young adult on Wednesday. So even though Draftshares is officially ending today, if you're still interested in some of the things that people were really focused on and looking at the popular stuff, go to the Warbler. Is it just warbler.com?
I believe so.
I think so. Let's see if it goes there.
Yeah, see if that link works. If not, correct me. But yeah, warbler.com, and he had them all posted up this week. So you should be able to
Not the warbler.com.
What is it?
I don't know. Let's go to. I'll have to go to Twitter to find out.
Okay, Google the Warbler, and then put.
Wait, put the. I think it's like
Books.
the Warbler books.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of bird
The
stuff.
Warbler,
Yeah, you're gonna
the
go on
Warbler
good stuff.
books.
So
It's the
either the
Warbler
Warbler,
books.
Elon Samuel, or the Warbler books.
No, it's the Warbler books.
Okay.
So
you're right.
warblerbooks.com.
That is what it is.
.com. Okay, warblerbooks.com.
The
so
warblerbooks.
the Warbler Books.
Yeah.
So if you would
The.
like to be a guest on the warblerbooks.com, Christine, would you please draw?
And we've got Scott Cars once again.
Again.
Yeah, he's the
That
big winner of the day.
Sure.
He better watch his back.
He earned it. He really did.
So Scott's the guy to beat next year. Just remember that.
All right.
And then our most coveted of the author prizes for anyone who is a fan of this show.
Uh-oh,
a
I'm scared.
guest spot on Drinkshares Last Call.
Scared.
They should be scared.
It
They're,
is.
do they really want to have their first appearance on any kind of public thing for their book beyond our show?
All
It might
right.
be
you know
someone
what?
prolific.
It's transferable. They can give it up. Somebody else can get it. We already put the disclaimer in. So.
You take it. No, you take it.
All right. This one's going
What's the
to
name?
Jeremy R. Strong.
Oh, that was the guy that I thought was Jerry Thomas.
Yeah.
So we already have something to talk about.
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome.
An awkward
Okay.
moment to talk about.
He did give me a really great review, though, which
He
everybody
really did. That was a
on
wonderful
Twitter, because I posted it like a moron.
All
It's still
are important.
worth boasting about. It's just the wrong.
Like,
Just the wrong Jeremy.
Wrong Jeremy.
All Jeremys are good. Like any Jeremy that reviews your book is good. Anyone is a good one. So.
The worst part is I discovered my mistake with my husband standing right behind me, who I love my husband, Wyatt's fantastic, but any time he can take to just make fun of me or point out a flaw that I have or something, he just right in the ribs. And so he's standing right there as I'm discovering this. I'm like, oh God, why?
Oh my goodness.
And our last prize for authors is the other half of the Inkshares credits that they donated to us. So $25 in Inkshares credits going to an author.
Dun, 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 dun. Number 151. Let's see who that is. Lauren Drube for one of her The Elements comments.
Which was one of the, that was number 4 on the most critiqued. So good, cool.
Yeah.
She can get a little love
Congratulations,
back.
Lauren.
Oh, my copy and paste decided to stop working at the very end.
At least it waited till the end. All right. Now, normally this is the time of the show where we wrap up, and I ask our contributors if they have any drunk comments or anything that they would like to add.
We're all sober.
We're all
today.
sober.
Drunk opinions.
Yeah. Joe didn't even have a 3-beer idea today, so.
Unsolicited advice. Any unsolicited advice?
No.
How about we leave it up to Avalon? Would you like to take over my job, which is giving unsolicited advice? And do you have any unsolicited advice for our authors?
Oh, man. Unsolicited. Let's see.
Don't count the part where we're soliciting it from you.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Yeah, it's
Just
like all I've been doing is talking about
this is the part where I usually say, hey, this is what's bugging me, stop doing it. So if the authors are doing something that you don't...
complaints, yeah. It's a complaint.
If the authors are doing something that's pissing you off, or like it's
You can interpret it however you want, though.
Yeah. There's no...
It doesn't need to come off
You don't have to just complain.
with the negative intent there.
Well, I think it goes with the whole theme here, but I think you guys have said it before, but really take your time with drafts. We have had a lot of authors try their hand at crowdfunding right away, and sometimes they can be super successful, but I think setting yourself up, actually having a plan and expecting that it's going to be challenging and allocating the right time for crowdfunding is going to make you a lot more successful. So yeah, take your time with it. There's really no rush. Publishing takes time in general, and we're actually faster than most traditional publishers that can take 2 years or more to get a book out there. You know, we're 9 to 12 months from beginning a manuscript, sometimes faster if it's short. But yeah, really take your time because you're playing the long game here. You're not trying to get rich quick. You're trying to build, you know, a community of readers. You're trying to get out there with your book. You're trying to get your book read. And that's our goal too. We want as many readers in the world reading as many Inkshares books as possible.
So when I launch my campaign next week, what you're saying is if I decide that 6 months or longer is okay because it might take that long to get my book actually to 250 or more, hopefully, that's okay.
Oh, well, yes, but I'm actually talking more about the draft phase, taking your time there to get, you know, supporters and feedback and then launch your campaign. I actually think it's helpful to have your campaign limited to 90 days or 3 months. Or even shorter, because I think that when you're in that phase, having it be, you know, this sort of immediate pre-order my book now because it's time sensitive, because if I don't reach my goal here, then the book won't be made. That's a lot more of a compelling story or call to action than is, you know, my book is going to be funding for a year if you have time or if you're interested, you know, pre-order it.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I give my kids extended time on their homework and then like
they
the whole
just don't
quarter,
do it.
Yeah, the whole quarter passes and they're like, wait, I have 13 assignments. Can I still turn them in?
Yeah, totally.
Also, funding a book is terrifying. So
Yeah.
like, limit the time that you're doing it. So you'll like.
It will affect your health.
It'll consume your soul.
But try to have fun with it too, you know. There's so many people that are going through the same thing you are at the same time. So you guys have all done a really good job at banding together and talking about what works and what doesn't work and supporting each other. It's amazing how you guys do that. And I hope that you do have fun with it and don't see it as just this huge daunting thing.
Right. Yeah. It's just come into it with the right expectations. Don't try to kill yourself. I think a lot of us in the first Sword and Laser killed ourselves more than necessary.
Yeah.
Well, and
when you're jumping in a
Adams
contest,
wasn't
you
even
usually have no plan. You're not prepared when you're entering.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
make
I'm
sure
very
you take
jealous
advantage of the moment.
of
Make sure
people
you
like
guys talk
Becky
about that
that
on
are using
Monday.
the draft phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure you guys talk about the ups and downs and what you would do differently on Monday when we talk about me going in my campaign, because I think that's really important for people who have no idea what to expect, like me, when you're going into this. And you guys had a little different because it was a contest, but it's still the same pressure, I think. So,
Yeah.
Okay, I want to take some time now to thank all the people that helped pull this off. Obviously, we want to thank Avalon and Inkshares for being so supportive and for donating credits and for sending out emails and really helping us promote this event. So that was really awesome on them. My drinkables, obviously, who without them could not have gotten this done. Christine was the backbone of this. So everybody give Christine a round of applause out in Internet land. She was on top of communications, logistics, numbers. Like, if I didn't know what was going on for 2 days, I would just come in and Christine and already have it done. So this was Christine's baby. As much as I tried to be the face of it, she was definitely the brains of it. So thank you very much, Christine.
It was a good partnership.
Yeah,
good group effort all around.
Yeah, everybody helped get out the message. It was just really fantastic. So thanks to my drinkables. Thanks to all the participants, especially those who are currently in the chat and watching the show now. Thank you. Especially those who got prizes. You obviously won lots of prizes because you made lots of contributions. So kudos to you. I really hope that you see that come full circle for you in the future. The syndicates also were very helpful in promoting books and drafts. So Snarky Darksea, I have to go to the list now because I'm going to forget. Quill Brotherhood.
Write Out Loud.
Write Out Loud. The Thriller Night. I made them
American Sci-Fi for the 21st
century
and beyond.
I just put Great Sci-Fi on their graphic.
Syndicate title.
There were 6 of them, and I know Gary Whitta, I didn't have a chance to finish his graphic, but Gary Whitta also put up a couple of recommendations too. Any ones I'm forgetting?
How many was that?
I think it was 6.
I think we had
it was 6.
graphics.
So okay, so thank you, syndicates. We really appreciate you advocating for Draftshares, getting your recommendations out there, encouraging your readers to be a part of this. And Elon on the Warbler, yes, very cool. I know Elena helped us with some stuff too. She helped us on Facebook. Got some graphics, things like that. Anyone else in the chat, if we did not thank you, feel free to let us know, and we will thank you on Monday. Any last words that you guys want to share?
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Lots of fun.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for taking your weekend to like
my pleasure.
sit with us on the internet.
My pleasure.
Well, and she's 2 hours behind us, so she still has. It's like 3 for her out there.
Yeah, I have time today.
She still has a whole Saturday night. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, anytime, you're more than welcome to join us, Avalon. We appreciate you taking the time and being the face of Inkshares for us today. So
awesome. Thanks, guys. Great talking to you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get out.
Even though we didn't drink today, we will make up for that in more ways that you can imagine on Monday.
Oh yeah.
When we have Shots Extravaganza, which I am going to regret, I can tell. We are going to be celebrating my book launch on June 6th. I'll be trying to get that up at least by noon. So by the evening show, we can celebrate with every round of books that are purchased. We will be doing a shot. That's not going to be for every single book because I don't want to die. But we are going to be staggering it, so if you want to see me get drunker, you have to buy more books.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Kara is going to be DDing that episode
I'm so
for us.
glad that I'm the designated driver. Because I would do this if I could, and I would be dead the next day. It would not be good.
All I can imagine is I'm going to be sitting in a job interview this summer, and somebody is going to have Googled my name and pulled up this episode. And that's going to be the reason I don't get a job.
Yeah.
Well,
it's your episode. It's like your headline flagship episode.
And it's me going to be making a fool out of myself, as if I haven't already done that on the show enough. Okay. Well, from all of us,
we better be good at writing because like we're really making a legacy for us on the internet here.
Oh yeah. As I said to Tony last night, aren't we all lucky that nothing on the internet lasts forever? So, for all of you out in internet land, thanks again for participating. Look forward to this next year when we have Draftshares 2, the
Electric Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo. I was trying to think of a good Google name. Yeah, Draftshares 2, Electric Boogaloo, coming next summer to a town near you.
And we haven't planned any of this. Yeah. We haven't planned any of this.
To draft or not to draft.
Sometime in the fall, there'll probably be a review-a-thon too, right, Kara?
Oh boy.
Am I doing another one of those?
Well, no, I mean, like, wow.
Someone can do it.
Maybe.
It doesn't have to be Kara.
Kara's
I
going
don't
to
know.
conveniently go into labor.
Dude, I'm gonna have a newborn. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
gonna run it
Well, I
anyway.
mean, now you have a team, so.
Yeah, that's true.
You
I won't
can
have to do
pass
it all
the baton.
It's true.
I don't know. I think we should get some new blood into the running the events gig.
I think we should run a contest for a guest host. And when no one
we'll get it all
applies,
figured out.
we'll feel very bad about ourselves.
That's fine. We got this. All right.
I bet
All
there's
right.
new blood coming in with the contest. New blood.
Yeah.
All right, that being said, once again, we thank you for participation, and we will see you. I don't know if I will remember seeing you, but we'll be seeing you on Monday when you join us for episode 7, Proxy
Shut
Launch.
extravaganza.
All right. Until then, may your drinks be shared.
Your drinks be shared.
May your drinks be
May your
shared.
drinks be shared.